Welcome back to another video here on the channel. I had a couple of questions from y'all about the Rock Island Arms pistols. I'm only familiar with the 1911s. I don't know if they make anything else. Quite certain that they do, but I'm only familiar with their 1911s. So I have here, obviously, both 1911s. I have a 10 millimeter and I have a 45 ACP. Most of you are probably familiar with those cartridges. If you are not, this is a 10 millimeter and this is a 45 ACP. They are almost identical in height. Obviously, the 45 is substantially bigger around. 10 millimeter is obviously 10 millimeters, but it is the same as a 40 caliber. It's basically, the bullet is the same as a 40 caliber. It's a longer casing. So I have a 10 millimeter that I have fired this, and I have a 45 that I have not yet fired. So we're going to be able to compare wear on the two of them. This one has about 500 rounds fired through it, and this one, like I said, is brand new. This is the tactical model, and this is the standard model. So there is going to be a few differences there. If you take a look, particularly at the sights, you're going to notice that you've got that this is the tactical one. You've got adjustable sights, you've got adjustments for windage, you've got adjustments for elevation, and you've got the, I believe they call that Trinicon front sight tip, versus you've got the plain sight tip, and you have realistically, you have no adjustments. You can loosen up this screw, and you can hammer your sight over a little bit in that dovetail, but you should consider this to be a fixed sight. Although, in a pinch, you could adjust it if you needed to. Also, if you look at the magazine wells, this is the tactical, and you've got that extra ridge there to help you load your magazine. They probably got a name for that. I'm not sure what it is. And the standard does not have that. You notice that the grips are tapered in on here. I actually took these grips off of the tactical one because they were tapered in beyond the point of this ridge here. And so I didn't figure I really needed that. I don't mind having it stuck up there. And on this one that's got the smoother bottom, I thought I'd rather have the taper. So I switched these myself, but the tactical comes with this grip. These are both G10 grips, which are actually very nice, especially if you get a little bit of sweaty hands or whatever. These really give you a nice grip. Now, wear. Like I said, this is a 10 millimeter, and I have fired this one about 500 rounds through it or so. And you'll notice that I've got some wear over here where the casings are ejecting and they're hitting the slide. And that's worn pretty much through the bluing there. So I'm not overly impressed with their bluing. And I don't notice it on this one. I've taken this one apart and I've cleaned it because they come very, very full of packing grease. So this one I pulled apart. Like I said, I haven't fired it yet, but I pulled it apart and I cleaned it really good. And you can see I've got a little bit of wear marks there where I'm putting in the takedown. So just from sliding it in, I don't think it's scratched it really, but you can definitely see that there's some wear there. And that's just from pulling it apart and putting it back together a few times, not actually shooting it. So another thing that I noticed, if you go back here and you look at the cases, switch these around so we know which is which, right? So this is the tactical case and this is the standard case. You got actually fitted in here, semi-fitted, right? It does fit in there. Maybe we just put the muzzle in first. And this one, well, we just set that kind of wherever, right? Now the standard one came with only one magazine versus the tactical that actually came with two magazines. So that's the difference there. A magazine, depending on where you get them, you're looking at $50 or so. The 10 millimeter, obviously, will load into a 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter magazine will not load into a 45. On the contrary, a 45 obviously loads into a 45. It will also load and click into the 10 millimeter. Now, if you were to try to chamber that round, as we looked at before, that 10 millimeter is much bigger than what the 40 is, so I'm not going to let that slam in there. But that will not actually chamber, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you were to go ahead and slam that in there, that might be make for an unpleasant day at the range. So if you have several guns like I do that are the same, with magazines that look very similar, I take a paint pen and I just write the caliber on it. This one I haven't written on yet, but I intend to. So how does this gun shoot? I thought it shot very well. This is about a $550 gun. I thought it shot very well. If you compare it to like a $1,500 Dan Wesson, obviously the Dan Wesson shoots better, but does it shoot 3 times better? I don't know. The 45, just the standard, sorry, this is actually a 10 millimeter. I even get confused. The 45, this is just the standard one. I got this for under $400. I got it for like $380 on sale. So very, very cost effective if you're gonna not worry about getting it scratched up or something, compared to, you know, your Dan Wesson or maybe even your Kimber that you don't want to get scratched up a whole lot. If you got a $400 or $500 gun and you drop it in the dirt, you aren't so worried about that. So if you have any questions, leave those in the comments. And I know what you're thinking. I did not do an a boom yet, and you're thinking there's going to be an a boom coming, and but I'm not gonna, because you're gonna be a boom. Oh man, you weren't even ready for it there because you thought it. So if you have any questions, like I said, leave them in the comments. If you're visiting my channel for the first time and you haven't already, and you want to, please subscribe. And I hope this video was helpful to you. Give it a like. I don't have any likes on this video yet, at least not at the time of filming. All right, have a good night, y'all.